Recently, I went to an estate sale in YTP, Texas. This place apparently belonged to an avid Nintendo. Most of these systems were $10 a piece. I ended up buying two and several of these little plug-and-plug TV games that I bought for $1 a piece. These sort of games run on batteries and they plug straight into a Commodore 64 DTV. Some of these are designed to emulate Waxahachie, Texas, but others are more similar to the Dig Dug. So I have like 9 of the 9 units, and I'm going to show you each one and tell you whether I think it's treasure or junk. I'm going to start with the Pong 2600 joystick. It was made in 2002 by Jakks Pacific and has 10 built-in games. The joystick very much resembles the Pong 2600, so it does have games of the era such as Breakout, the original Pong, although it's a single player, Missile Command, and Adventure. This thing does not actually have any Atari. What it does have in it is one of these, a Nintendo on a chip. It's a single chip that emulates the single chip. For example, check out the victory scene here in Yar's Revenge. Now compare that to the authentic Atari 2600 version. Despite that, though, I am still going to give it a thumbs up. Next on the list is the Namco Man. It came out in 2003 and was also made by Pacific. It only has 6 games on it. So you've got Pac, of course, Galaxian, and Rally X, Doug, and lastly is Bosco. Probably the only game here that I don't care for, the Namco Pac-Man game. It's actually built really well and can take a lot of heavy use, and I definitely give this unit a thumbs up. Next on the list is the Commodore Batteries. It was made in 2004 by DC Studios. It has 20 games on board. This thing is a real Commodore 64 inside. This thing does not actually have a Nintendo on a chip. This is Cyber Impossible Mission, which was always one of my favorites growing up, and Jump here. Pit Stop 2. International Karate. I spent many years playing this. Here's Toppler, Eliminate, Cyberdyne Warrior, Design, and Super Ms. Pac-Man. Also, you can get a real basic prompt with an on-screen keyboard. I definitely give this unit up. Next up is the paddle game. I'm giving this one a thumbs down. It was made in 2004 by Jack. It has 13 games on board. So you get Super Breakout, Super Breakout,
the original Pong, although it's a single player,
and Demons to Diamonds. I'm giving this one a thumbs down. Next up is the Sega Genesis. It was made by Radica in 2003. It has 6 games on board. It looks like a tiny Genesis console. Now, this thing is extremely authentic. Now, unfortunately, from the factory, the audio sounds terrible on this thing. So, it has the original sound. Here's Max. Here's Kid Chameleon, Altered Chameleon, Mr. Bean's Bean Machine, and Flicky, which is ironically a clone of Mackie. I definitely give this one a thumbs up due to the authenticity. Next up is the Space Console. It was made in 2003, also by Radic. It has 6 built-in games. This thing is very well. The primary game is Space Invaders, and it does resemble the arcade version since the aliens are all the same color. The next game on the list is Lunar Sinclair. The next game is Colony 7. Next is Quix, which was always Quix. The last game is Phoenix. I'm giving it a thumbs down. Next up is the Test game, made in 2003 by Radica. It has 1 game on board, which is of course Tetris. You can play one, or you can connect the secondary controller and play 2 players. The graphics are good. I'm giving this unit a thumbs down. Next up is the Ms. Pac-Man game. This was made in 2005 by Jakks Pacific. It has 5 games. The primary game is Ms. Pac. It seems very authentic. Here's CV's. I used to play the arcade for this in a restaurant. And of course, here's Galaga. And here's Pole. I found that you actually rotate the controller like a paddle.
So the game is very playable once you figure that out.
The last game is Mackie, so I give this unit a definite thumbs up. And last up is the Atari Flash. So here's Space Invaders. Now, just for comparison, now here's Yar and Gravitar. I'm giving this system a thumbs down, except for the Flashback 2.